Hey, Cecilia.
Yes.
It's so nice to meet you. And
Hi.
thank you for doing this. Sometimes I can sit here for a while and hope someone's going to come by, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you did. And so this is a show where we talk about beliefs, but really I want to know how you know what you know
Yes.
and where the belief comes from in that kind of sense, right? And the belief, it could be about anything. It could be spiritual, political, personal, religious. Doesn't matter. Whatever, something you feel strongly about.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a belief you wish to discuss?
Yeah, I'd say social justice is something I believe strongly in and really passionate about.
Okay. And by social justice, what do we mean?
Equality, rights for oppressed people, kind of the equalizing of social classes and social dynamics, more unity between people, like less divisions, just less injustices for people in general.
So the belief is that there should be more equality and justice for everyone.
Yes.
On a scale from 1 to 7, how confident are you that this belief is true, that there should be justice and equality for everybody?
I'd say like a 9.
Okay. And on a scale from 1 to 7, how important is it for you to believe in true things?
And true things?
Yeah. The things that you believe in, how is it important for you that those things are real and true?
10 probably.
If someone were to ask you, what is the primary reason why you know your belief is true, that this should be the state of the world, what would you say?
I mean, I feel... So personally, I have not had the experience that some people have, but as a woman, there have been times when I've been made to feel small or lesser than, and that feeling that's just of inadequacy, I think that is so unsettling in me that I know to be true, and I know to be true for other people who have felt similar forms of oppression. That's why I believe it should be true, through my personal experience, and also things I've seen making people feel lesser than. That's why I think it's
So
true.
to describe your belief in a different way, it seems like part of what you're saying is that we're not there now, that
Yes.
that there is injustice and there's inequality now, and that we should strive to be there.
Yeah.
If and it seems like the main reason why you have the belief is personal experience being a woman and how you've been treated in certain situations and that sort of thing. Is that correct?
Well, sort of. Kind of, I got passionate about social justice and that sort of like humanitarian work actually after doing a unit on Auschwitz and the Holocaust in middle school, and seeing that, like the horrific nature of that event kind of spurred me to look deeply into signs of injustice and see injustice and think about it, the world as, before I was sort of naive, I thought, we all have these rights and these freedoms.
Yeah.
But after acknowledging that, I gained a kind of greater understanding of the reality, which is that most people don't have this, not everyone is afforded the same rights and freedoms as everyone else.
So it seems like there's two primary reasons then. One is personal experience with your own life, and also I think you're saying the other reason is history.
Yes.
And when you're looking and reading back on certain historical events like the Holocaust or other genocides, that there were times in history that there were inequalities and it didn't end up well.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say Tanya is sitting next to you, and Tanya says, yeah, I know that you're saying that there's inequality and injustice in the world, or at least in our country maybe, and I know what you're telling me about history, and there's probably been maybe some inequality and injustices in the past. But let's say Tanya says, as my belief, is that in the current moment, that we do have equality, that we do have justice, and for the most part, whether you're a woman or whatever race you are, or whatever age you are, who knows what, that I think things are pretty equal and that there's really justice for all, and she says, that's my experience. And if I'm a third person and I'm hearing you and Tanya speak about your views, how would I be able to decide what is real, what is true?
I think you have to weigh both opinions or both views, and kind of look at the current climate. You have to take what's actually happening now to gauge whether or not everyone is equal and there is justice. And you have to look at like the protests that are happening and weigh that out in your mind. Are they valid? Are they not valid? And it's all about your beliefs really at the end of the day. But I think that history has shown there's a cyclical nature of oppression and then greater freedoms, and you can kind of see a turning of the tide right now, not even in my opinion, just in the truth that there is a rise in nationalism and patriotism, which leads to more fascism and leads to more oppression of people. So I think if you honestly look at it from an analytical, political standpoint, you can see that.
See where you're coming from. You say on a scale from 1 to 7, you believe this belief at a 10, and that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
So if you were to believe this belief at a 12, what would even increase your confidence even more that this belief is true?
I feel like just working in a field that is focused on this, I think which is my plan, just seeing sort of social injustices just makes me believe that people deserve equality more and more. Anytime I see something in the news or I hear something from one of my friends where, they were oppressed in some way, it strengthens my belief.
And now I'm going to ask you the question in a different way. Again, you said from a scale from 1 to 7 that you're confident this belief is true at a 10. What do you think? Can you envision something that would reduce your confidence in this belief?
It's a hard one. I really can't think of anything that would make me change my mind on that.
Oh, okay. And I'm just trying to think of hypothetically. If
I mean, potentially, maybe if I became extremely wealthy and in a lot of power and I was sort of at that elevated platform looking down, I wouldn't see or notice or care as much. But I like to think if that did happen, I would still care.
Yeah, I do see where you're coming from. Maybe to put the question this way is that if in this country, let's say you're correct in that there is injustice and inequality in the world, especially maybe in our country, and because that's where we live and maybe we're better able to judge. And let's say that things were becoming more equal and there was more justice in the world or in our country. Would you be able to recognize, you think, that was happening?
Yes. And I do think I would recognize it probably through legislature, primarily, and general public opinion, sort of conditions of living, things like that.
So if there was, you would have a reduction in the confidence of your belief if you could see concrete legislative changes in the world and the effect that those changes had on the people around us.
Well, I feel like I would still believe in it as strongly.
Yeah.
And it would almost be fortified if I could see things being enacted.
Yeah. The reason why I do this show is that I find, and I have a feeling this might resonate with you, is that we live in a time where we have sets of people have intense beliefs about things, and these beliefs can be diametrically opposed to other people's beliefs.
100%.
And we seem to be in a situation where we're getting ourselves into trouble a bit.
Yeah.
And my thought is, and tell me what you think, is that maybe part of the issue is that we have these strong beliefs, and they're beliefs that can't that we can't show that person is incorrect if the belief is incorrect. There's no way to show them the belief is incorrect if it's incorrect, and they can't even show themselves the belief is incorrect if it's incorrect. And the belief might be perfectly correct.
Yeah.
And if we have groups of people who believe their beliefs are perfectly correct, and there's no way to show them otherwise if that's the case, then that could be a problem.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It creates that division I was talking about. And I definitely think in some of my beliefs I do waver. Like politically, I'm not opposed to hearing other sides.
Yeah.
But in terms of equality, I do think it's important to be open in your beliefs and your belief systems, because it really just it shapes how you view the world. But I think when it comes to equality, there is no room for wavering. I think it should be just a fundamental, basic moral standard and belief.
Well, I really appreciate you talking to me.
Yeah, thank you.
It was wonderful. I love talking about this kind of thing, and I have a feeling that you like talking about this kind of thing too.
I do,
so,
yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
You asked great questions.
Oh, thank you, Cecilia.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And the show is called Being Reasonable. It's on this station right up here, but it's also a podcast if you want to listen to it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much.